The first book in the hopefully soon-to-be Kingkiller trilogy, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, is an incredible book. I mean, the story within the 600 or so pages of The Name of the Wind is relatively simple at first glance. It's the first part of a tragic tale in which a young man becomes a legend but is unable to hold on to this pedestal and he falls into despair. It's a tragedy. You could read the book and think, yeah, that was a pretty good read. Moving on to, I might start The Gentleman Bastards now. But there is so much depth and secrets hidden within the story. It is a narrative that respects the fantasy stories that have come before it and molds past tropes into something unique and brilliant. All of this, topped with beautiful prose, and I mean beautiful prose, results in a story which feels lovingly crafted. Despite its flaws, which, don't worry, I will discuss, the elements of The Name of the Wind that stand out are simply awe-inspiring and come together to form a book that I come back to every year. This video is about why you, yes you, should read The Name of the Wind. The story of The Name of the Wind follows the character Kvothe as he tells the tale of his life. The book first starts by following the day-to-day life of an innkeeper named Kvothe and his apprentice Bast. It is quickly revealed that Kvothe is actually a man lost to myth named Kvothe. He has many names. Some include Kvothe the Bloodless, Kvothe the Arcane, Lightfinger, and the most infamous of all, Kingkiller. The thing is, nobody really knows who Kvothe was or is, and his legacy is shrouded in mystery. It becomes apparent in the first page or so, in fact, that Kvothe is laying low and is a shadow of his former self. He has convinced himself in many ways that he is in fact an innkeeper, and now is just waiting to die. Seeing this, his apprentice Bast tries desperately to reinvigorate the spark in Kvothe that was once as fiery as his hair. Did I really write that? This is where Chronicler comes in, right? So following some negotiations, Kvothe agrees to tell his story to the Chronicler in 3 days. That is 3. Good job, Jasper. From here, without spoiling too much, the first book covers Kvothe's childhood through some extremely tragic times, all the way to his life at the university, the Magic University, where he starts to learn, go figure, magic. It's funny, in a book where the author set out to avoid fantasy cliches, there are a surprising amount of formulaic elements in the story. What sets The Name of the Wind apart is that all of these elements feel consciously put in, not just there because others have done it before and it needs to be in to make a good story. For example, Kvothe says he has fought a dragon, but really it is just a large lizard, something that becomes a joke among the characters. The story does seem to meander at times and focus on elements that may seem as less important than others. However, early on in the tale, Kvothe states that everything in the story has a purpose, and if everything is not fairy tale perfect, well, that is because it is his life, and life can be messy. We'll have to wait until the 3rd book to see if there is a payoff for everything, but at this moment, it's looking quite promising. Kvothe is remarkably intelligent. He's a prodigy. He is very talented at many things, such as music. He's a master of the lute, and the parts of the book that describe him playing it are simply beautiful. But this same aspect of his character that makes him a hero is also his fatal flaw. Some critics have complained about how smart he is, saying he is a flawless character, a Mary Sue type character, and therefore he's dull. I don't agree. He knows that he is smart, Kvothe knows that he is smart, and that does develop a sort of arrogance and cockiness that does get the better of him from time to time. He is like the heroes of old, such as Achilles. He has one main weakness: his hubris. This gets him into a myriad of problems and is likely the result of his downfall. Mind you, if Quoth's cockiness does annoy you, The Name of the Wind might not be for you. I encourage you to try it though, but some people have said that it's just too much for them, and that is completely fine. The book also introduces the reader to many mysteries, many of which do not get directly answered in this first book, The Name of the Wind. Many of which do not get answered in The Name of the Wind. The genius of this is that most of the answers can be pieced together by small clues that Rothfuss has placed throughout the story. It makes rereads exponentially more interesting as you try to fit everything together. The story really is masterfully told and crafted. Moving on now to the characters, we have a good handful of them, most of which are very enjoyable to read. Of course, we've got our protagonist Quoth, but he's already got his fair share of attention so far in this video, so let's give the other characters a bit of the spotlight. There's Bast, Quoth's apprentice, who is graceful, yet has a ruthless, pragmatic side to him. There's also Quoth's parents, who have little page time, but are essential to the tale. There's also the wizard Abinthy, the moneylender Devi, Quoth's best friends Willem and Simon, and his classmate Fila. The masters of the university, Ambrose, the snubby witch character, Eladin the mad Namer, Ori or Ari, the girl in the underthing, and of course, Denna. Now, you may have noticed that I have refrained from giving too much info about who these characters are. I've just listed them, as I want you people to experience them for yourselves as you read the book. Just know that I enjoyed all of them. I will say the character Denna annoyed me immensely at first. However, the more you learn about her past, the more you will understand where she is coming from, and at least for me, she became less annoying as I understood her character more. But with that aside, let's talk about the magic system. A quick lesson for any of you who are unaware. A soft magic system is a magic system that does not have a set of rules and regulations and just does whatever it needs to do. Think fairy tales or Lord of the Rings. A hard magic system is a magic system that has strict rules and regulations in place, with consequences if those rules are not followed. Think Avatar: The Last Airbender or the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. The Name of the Wind has both hard and soft magic systems within the book. Much of the magic learned in the university is akin to a science. It makes sense, you can study it in books, and figuring out the intricacies of it is incredibly satisfying for readers. The other type of magic is naming, and that, my friends, is very mysterious. We know very little about it so far, and that is very much on purpose. We know that naming is an ancient art that allows the user control over objects and creatures provided that they know their true names. This creates a system where you feel satisfied when Quoth gets himself out of a situation using hard magic, and in one of the rare cases where he uses naming, it instead feels mysterious instead of a cop-out. It's very well handled. The world building is minimal, yet what we do know about it feels utterly fleshed out and believable. Let me explain. So, the book follows Quoth's early life as he tells his tale to those who are, of course, in the same fantasy world as him. It is because of this that the book explains the places that Quoth went to in great detail. However, Quoth never goes into a monologue about information that is common knowledge. Occasionally, something might be mentioned about a kingdom on the other side of the continent, however, we are left wondering what that exactly means. This is of course very intentional, and the few times we are given great detail via someone telling a story, it feels incomplete and full of bias. Regardless, I feel that if I were in this world, if I was in Temerant, I could walk 50 kilometers in any direction and have a real bustling land to explore. There's no cookie-cutter backdrop towns here. So while we get to see little of the actual land in this book, the world building that we do see is amazing, and there's a definite promise of more out there than just the confines of Quoth's tale. Lastly, but absolutely not least, is the writing. I am convinced that Pat Rothfuss used a thesaurus to handpick every single word, because it shows if he did. The book is so masterfully crafted, it feels like poetry at times. However, it is surprisingly approachable. Rothfuss has, in my opinion, one of the strongest voices in modern fantasy. This is combined with an obvious passion that is poured onto the pages, and strong messages about choosing your own destiny. The story is surprisingly dark at times, however, it can also be humorous when it wants to be. However, there are other parts of it that are legitimately humorous and had me snorting into the pages. That reminds me, the pages that describe Quoth's musical talent are breathtaking to read. I would also be foolish to point out that the third book in the series is not yet out, and book 2 is largely agreed to not be as good as book 1. Although you could just read The Name of the Wind as a standalone, even with only one book, I think you would be satisfied. While The Name of the Wind has its detractions, the beautiful writing style and carefully crafted tale is so brilliant that I truly believe it bypasses any complaints that I have. It is such an amazing book, and I really do think you should read it. So, have I convinced you to read The Name of the Wind? If so, let me know down in the comments below. That really would make my day, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a like and subscribe to Legends of Jasper for your weekly fantasy fill. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.